While we're approaching the end of summer, we haven't yet left wildfire season. Thanks for joining us at 11. I'm John Adams. Several fires are burning across the state of Oregon right now, including a couple that were recently declared conflagrations. Our Celine Stevens learned more about how the state is tackling these wildfires as they continue to run rampant. Celine?
John, right. So according to the Northwest Interagency Coordination Center, we have about 24 large fires burning across the state. Firefighter crews from several different states and even a couple different countries are now helping to fight these fires as fire season continues to wreak havoc.
We've seen fires popping up all over, just about every corner of the state.
Oregon has been facing fire after fire this summer, leading to hazy and smoky skies, to evacuation orders and a need for outside assistance. The Northwest Interagency Coordination Center says there's about 24 large fires the state is currently facing now, leading to the area being under preparedness level 5, meaning
so the Northwest, it being the number one priority in the nation, it focuses on resource allocation that comes across our borders, basically from the other states. And we're prioritized to get those resources.
Carol Connolly with the Northwest Interagency Coordination Center says those fires make up around 500,000 acres. She also says thanks to the state getting over 800 lightning strikes this weekend, they are tracking several new large fires in the central Oregon area.
We're going to pick up what we call holdover lightning fires. A lightning strike can hit a tree, a single tree, and it might smolder around the base of the tree, and it might take a couple days for it to actually go above the treetop to where we can detect the smoke and find the fire.
She says there's about 9,000 firefighters and support personnel working these fires, and the region has even gotten help from several states and 2 different countries, Australia and New Zealand. Fires like the Rail Ridge Fire in Crook and Grant counties, which is over 135,000 acres, and the Shoofly Fire in Wheeler County has even led the governor to invoke the Conflagration Act Friday, allowing the state fire marshal to mobilize resources to wildfires when life and property are threatened. The Red Cross has also been on scene, helping those needing to evacuate all summer long.
We have opened 23 shelters now since June. In fact, just last weekend, we have opened up 3 shelters. So Lake County, Crook County, and Grant County. And that's because of these level 3 go now evacuations.
While the Lake County Center is now closed, the Red Cross says they keep their centers open for as long as needed and says when you get that go now alert, you should listen. She also stresses the importance of always being prepared with an emergency kit and a plan.
Ask yourself, what would happen if I had to evacuate my home at a moment's notice? What would I bring with me? What would I need to grab at a moment's notice? Where would I go?
The Red Cross also says people should download the Red Cross Emergency app to stay updated with the latest alerts. With fire season not being over yet, the Interagency Coordination Center also urges people to be extra careful to prevent human-caused fires, which will only take away critical resources from the fires that are unpreventable. John, back to you.
All right, Celine, thank you. Definitely has been a tough wildfire season here in the state. Well, turning now to the weather, the smoke and haze slowly started to clear out by this afternoon here in the area, and we finally saw a return of those blue skies. And it looks like we're going to be able to enjoy at least a little more sunshine to start the week. Let's bring in meteorologist Joe Ranieri to let us know what changes we're going to see over the next few days. Joe?
Well, John, good evening to you. Yeah, the next couple of days in the early part of the week are going to be pretty nice. But talking more of the smoke and wildfires, you can kind of see it from the satellite imagery. Dozens of them are going to continue to burn, like Selena was just saying. And if you're wondering when will they basically be done, well, you're going to have to wait until we really start to see some fall storms move through, which is right around the corner. So here's a look at the smoke and haze forecast. You can kind of see by tomorrow morning, it's slowly pushing off to the east. It's very thick over the last 3 or 4 days, and the air quality right now is good. But over the weekend, it was down to the moderate category throughout the metro area. But if you're going anywhere east side of the state, that's where the smoke and haze is going to continue to be pretty thick over the next couple of days or so as those wildfires continue to burn. As we look at the air quality right now, the green is good, of course, also is picking up a little bit of yellows kind of on the foothills of the mountains. The more east you go, just north of Bend, you're looking at unhealthy air quality, and it's going to be staying that way here the next couple of days. On the satellite imagery, we're looking at a ridge of high pressure that's going to develop here the next couple of days. But come the middle part of the week, John, I am tracking some rain showers, and some of those showers could produce anywhere from 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch of rain. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes.
All right, Joe, thank you. We'll see you later in the show. Well, police in Beaverton asked that the community continues to reach out with tips in the murder investigation of Melissa Jubain. The 27-year-old was reported missing this past Wednesday, and yesterday police announced they found her remains and arrested the neighbor of Jubain, Bryce Schubert. He was brought into custody on a second-degree murder charge. Yesterday, we heard from a friend of Jubain.
I can't even wrap my head around it. It's just so heartbreaking that it would happen here, and we're just gonna miss seeing her beautiful smile and just light up the energy around us.
Beaverton police today said they cannot comment on an active investigation, but more information may be released after a grand jury hears this case. Jubain was a nurse at Providence St. Vincent, and the Oregon Nurses Association is inviting the public to join Melissa's colleagues for a vigil Monday night. It's scheduled to begin at 6 at Ridgewood View Park. In Washington, the person convicted of shooting and killing a Freeman high school student has been resentenced to 25 years to life. In 2017, then 15-year-old Caleb Sharp opened fire in a hallway, killing Sam Strahan and seriously injuring 3 other students at the high school in Rockford. He was sentenced to 40 years to life in 2022. But in April, the Washington State Court of Appeals decided that sentence was too long, prompting a resentence.
The wounds from that day remain deeply painful. This, coming here and doing this again, very painful. I'm here for Sam, and I will always show up for him, regardless of how much this hurts me. But it bears repeating that this nightmare will never be over. There are long-standing wounds that won't heal because they simply can't.
At the end of 25 years, Sharp can petition for parole.
I have an infant child. I have my wife and my pets. Everything I own is, it's just hundreds of feet away from where these fires start.
Residents of a northeast Portland neighborhood off I-84 say they are now living in fear after 2 fires were started at nearby homeless camps this weekend. Our Sydney Dorner spoke with them earlier today and has more about their concerns.
It's not abnormal to see homeless camps lined across the highway when driving through Portland, but people I spoke to say what's often overlooked is the neighborhoods behind these camps, expressing they are constantly dealing with spillover of trash, crime, prostitution, and now fires. William Harrington says he bought a home in the Rose City Park neighborhood at the start of the 2020 pandemic, dreaming of settling down with his wife who just had a baby. Unfortunately, the area did not live up to his hopes.
The neighborhood is, we'll say, heavily afflicted with the homeless epidemic. We also have problems with other crimes like prostitution.
Harrington says recently his concerns started to escalate.
Oh, I'm constantly terrified.
With the fire on September 6th and then another on the 7th. Portland Fire says both were started at homeless camps.
I feel an immense amount of rage at this situation all the time. And ultimately what it boils down to is me and my family are going to leave. We're going to leave because, they obviously care more about these homeless people than they do about us.
We talked to one homeless man who says he used to camp out in the same Rose City Park neighborhood, living off the I-84. Telling us it's best for his safety, we don't reveal his identity.
We kept the nastiness and criminal element out of it. We just wanted to live.
Admitting there are homeless individuals that taint the public perception of the entire community.
When we kind of figured out the individual that was responsible for that, we had very stout communications with this individual.
But that insular accountability doesn't do much for people like Larry Browning, who's been living in the northeast Portland neighborhood for 15 years.
It started out that I was getting robbed, then the fires began.
Crediting the city for putting up boulders as a deterrent, while wishing there was more that could be done.
I have no retort. I don't know where to go to get this to be stopped. That's what I need to know.
Sydney Dorner, KGW News.
Developments overnight from U.S. plane maker Boeing. The company says it has reached a tentative agreement with union negotiators, averting a strike by days. The tentative agreement includes a 25% pay increase for over 4 years for workers at Boeing factories across Washington and Oregon. The deal also secures a commitment from Boeing to build its next plane in the Pacific Northwest. The contract's not final until employees vote later this week, but this tentative agreement is so far seen as a win for new CEO Kelly Ortberg. We're about to begin the final week of a major trial happening in downtown Portland. This past week, we heard from the CEO of Kroger and Albertsons, two grocery giants who are seeking a merger. However, the Federal Trade Commission sued to block the deal, arguing the deal would cut competition and bring higher grocery prices to consumers. Following testimony, the judge will rule on whether to temporarily block the merger. Oregon has joined the FTC's lawsuit, while Washington has filed a separate case in state court.